The 4680 progress has clearly disappointed me, and I'm pretty sure that every test the shareholder has had has fallen short of the expectations to such an extent that many investors are trying to reassess Tesla's future without them, what the company would be worth consequently, and how quickly it can grow without these cells that had nearly 10 times their production output per capita. It's also the only cell in the world that can ramp up to extreme production, offer long range, or be used in larger, heavier vehicles. In fact, it's the only one that can potentially have a significant impact on global politics, transportation. But these hopes were partially dashed when we learned how little Tesla is producing and how its energy density is comparable to the lowest sales available on the market. However, 4680s are meant to be revolutionary new cells that will have the lowest cost and the highest energy density. Tesla even started a new line in Texas, and we hope there might be some progress there. But it doesn't seem to be happening particularly fast yet given the current output. We were just told, but these cells are essential for the Cybertruck at least. That's what many of us thought, although it is possible the Cyberjack could use 2170 cells. But that would mean we forego the structural battery pack, and on Battery Day Elon told us just how important a structural battery pack is. And we expect the Cybertruck to have the latest and greatest, so much new technology, Elon says. But since the reveal we haven't really been told about any of it, except possibly the 48-volt electrical system anyway. It looks like Tesla definitely will be using 4680 cells in the Cybertruck, but not the ones we thought. It sounds like another line in Texas is going to get going, except instead of producing 4680 cells, it will be producing Cyber cells. According to Tesla, these cells are 10 more anti-dense, which is absolutely outstanding and reminds us again of some of the truly amazing engineering feats that Tesla do accomplish at times, albeit often very late. This takes them to any density at parity of the 2170 cells. So what you might think we were promised much more, and how is this still impressive? Well, what is impressive is that Tesla have reached this energy density without using any silicon in the anode. Silicon means you can increase the level of lithium in the cell, and thus offer a high energy density. It does, however, mean that the cell will degrade faster too. So actually, all these 4680 cells currently likely do not degrade particularly fast, and possibly the car could do 1,000,000 miles and still have a reasonable range anyway. The more I think about this, and the more impressive it is. Not only that, as we're just talking about the energy density of the cells, not the actual battery. Remember, one of the biggest deals about the 4680 cells is the cell-to-vehicle integration. That's right, the cells are the structure of the pack. This means that the energy density would indeed be higher with these cyber cells than the 2170 cells at the pack level. Now, Tesla have not even started this line yet, therefore that might mean that the Cybertruck isn't going to be ready until this cyber cell line has reached a reasonable capacity, not high volume production or anything, just perhaps 1,000,000 sales a week or something like that, enough for about 1,000 Cybertrucks, if that even, at least to start with. Therefore, I'm not expecting deliveries for the Cybertruck to start until Q4 now, unless Tesla launch with the other 4680 cells, and perhaps can announce two versions of the track, perhaps a dual motor with the 4680 cells and a tri-motor with the cyber cells. Tesla is able to provide the TWIF. We're talking about this level of energy density. We could see up to 400 miles of range, and maybe about 330 miles for the other version, one that beats Rivian on range, and the other that beats Ford Lightning on range and price. The motor will come first, and then say in Q4 we'll be selling the longer range version shortly after. This way, Tesla get to launch early and also get to show a higher spec version. Tesla would totally destroy the competition when it comes to the electric pickup truck market. And one made a difference that Tesla have it is that when they do eventually ramp up production, well, the cost of the vehicle will be so low to produce. There will actually be this thing that other EV companies don't seem to care about called profit. Alright, so Tesla have clearly not given up on the 4680 sales and hopefully still see them as a possibility to ramp in the near future. And as we know, a 4680 ramp changes everything. It means Texas and Berlin can hit capacity and reduce costs significantly. It means Tesla can offer longer range vehicles or vehicles with smaller batteries at much lower costs and see more profit. It means that the semi-truck factory can break ground, as they know they're going to be capable of making cells that go into the semi. It means that Tesla can ramp to hundreds of gigawatt hours a year of sales capacity. The biggest takeaway for me from this was the fact that Tesla can get the cell engine density to the same as the 2170 without using the silicon in the anode or introducing the new cathode. Therefore, this is likely just achieved from the anode, which is using dry battery now. The additional energy density we might see by adding silicon to the anode will depend on just how much silicon they add. Depending on the type and amount of silicon they use, they could add anywhere from 10 to 30% more energy density. Even 10 more would mean that we are starting to get really high. The electrode process already, and the fact the volume to surface area ratio is higher for the 4680, requiring less casing for the equivalent size cells, are part of the reason Tesla made the diameter of these cells so much more than the previous. I used to say that even if it takes Tesla years to solve 4680s, it will all be worth it and be a huge deal with cost savings of maybe $3,000. Just for the sales per vehicle obviously makes a huge difference. The fact that it allows for a structural battery pack and front and rear castings in addition to all of that really is starting to bring back some of the old feelings I had towards the future potential of these cells. I was obviously disappointed with the teardowns we saw from the 4680. The fact that they were still using cobalt on the cathode procedure for battery electrodes, they went to a lot of effort with this factory, and presumably it was an afterthought or realization of how much more complex the process ended up being. I don't know if they're still going to be using cobalt in these cathodes either, and I'm not even sure. The next generation vehicle platform will have 100 of these controllers, giving them more design and software flexibility. Additionally, Tesla is moving away from a 12-volt battery to a 48-volt architecture on the software side, constantly making updates and enhancements, and working hard to optimize their battery packs and other features through fleet learning. It appears that Tesla is making significant progress in optimizing the electronic architecture of the vehicles. In addition to developing robotic taxis and autonomous fleet management, Tesla also talked about fully automated driving, FSD, and how it fits into a sustainable future considering that most cars are idle when not in use. In addition, the business is working on the Tesla Bot, which has multiple iterations and is quickly becoming more efficient at charging. This gives Tesla a major competitive edge over its rivals in the market. We will see them in the 4680 sales until sometime next year, but when silicon is added into the anode along with these new cathodes, then I think we must be at around 300 watts per kilogram energy density, making this the most energy-dense cell for vehicles in mass production. This is indeed very exciting. But for starters, we haven't even seen the cyber cell in production, yet let alone tested the energy density of the future cell, nor the cathode or silicon. And we don't know how long that will take. But it is good to at least see the specs potentially improving from being less energy-dense than the 2170 to more energy-dense, however. Even if Tesla did get that far, it's not a big enough deal until they can demonstrate that they can ramp up the production that is the most important factor. This is amazing. But there is still a long way to go. Hopefully, Tesla can see a way to accomplish this sometime in 2019. After all, they need to find a method to get enough of these cells for the Cybertruck.